Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Stock Talks. I am Lane, and this over here is.
Stop.
And today we're going to be talking about the Republican Party.
Great intro. Great intro.
Yeah, Stock, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, basically, we're just going to be talking about kind of what the issues are. Me and Mr. Lane here. Mr. Lane Production. We both tend to lean right, but I'll tell you
I'm definitely more right. Mr. Stock leans more right in some instances, and I lean more right in other instances. We're still also figuring out politics, since we're
true,
both young men.
Yeah, both young men at the age of 40.
Quagmire Davis. Only real ones will get that.
Only real ones know the Quagmire Davis lore. Anyways, we're talking about the freaking, the poor leadership on the right.
That's our first.
But anyways, that was to clarify. Tend to lean more right, but the thing I value more than anything in whoever I'm voting for is whoever's going to protect the most constitutional values. I'm an absolutist when it comes to Constitution. I've read the thing multiple times. It's one of the most beautifully written documents. That's what I tend to value more than anything is whoever can hold those values truest. So don't just look at the name, the freaking political party next to a name, and just say, okay, so they're based or cringe build. I actually listen to what they have to say because you never know.
Yeah, I do agree. I have some left-leaning friends at school, and I agree with them on several things, and they've made me rethink a few things too.
I have no left-leaning friends. They
you don't go outside. You don't go outside.
They tend to leave once I tell them my extremist political views.
How people should have their right to privacy. Very extreme.
Yeah, when I tell them that they should have their when I tell them why the First Amendment is the First Amendment and the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment, they start to freak out.
Yeah, well, we're getting off topic. Let's talk about the only real leader of the right or Republican Party, Donald Trump.
It's Donald Trump. Yeah, he's the only one that has. You had people who had the title for a couple of years whenever Trump was kind of not in the news. I mean, you had DeSantis. He was there in that he had some sway for I would say especially around 2022.
I would even say he still had some
into 3. He does now because he still has some sway in the headlines, but he's no Trump. He almost had Trump status 2022. He was bordering on Trump status where he was universally loved by all Republicans. Now though, now that Trump's actually back in the running and has a serious shot. I mean, he's the only Republican who's going to be able to run. No, you can whoever tries to run against him will just get instantly demolished. Not saying that as a fan or supporter, but just saying that from looking at the polls and looking at the data.
There's no realistically, there's more. This will be a future episode. We'll talk about another day, but we call it the Trump cult. There's more people blindly supporting Trump, and that's a future episode we'll talk about.
Yeah, we'll go more into the Trump cult. You might hear a little bit more about it today, but you'll hear more about it later episodes. There's a lot of unique things to say about that group of individuals. But
back to the main point, Trump is really the only one who can consistently pull in votes by just looking at the polls and the stats and stats or whatever.
The only one. Okay, as Reddit is for me to say, Trump derangement syndrome is real. That's a real thing. If you've never heard what Trump derangement syndrome is, this was a term coined. I actually don't remember exactly when this was coined, so forgive me, but this was a few years ago at least, even around whenever Trump was first running. You have that first, legendary video. Trump's presidency is announced, and somebody crumbles to the ground crying because Trump is going to be president. This was before he was even super well known as to what he.
Well, no, he was because like when
he was well known. He was well known, but it wasn't like he was well before he had even like gotten half the names associated with him today. He was still kind of just nothing at that point. Not nothing, but he was like nobody knew
won the presidency.
Nobody knew quite what he was going to be at that point. It was definitely a game shaker for America.
Yeah, but we're getting a bit off point, aren't we?
Yeah, we're starting to get a little bit of a Trump episode.
Yeah, but yeah, he's
anyway,
really the one who could pull
Trump is important because Trump is important to this discussion because he is the only leadership.
The reason I say that is because you look at almost any Republican ads, it's going to be saying how Trump endorsed them or all that, and that's like you see that like especially last year when all the not last year. When was the I forgot what part of Congress it was. Was it the House or Senate vote that was happening?
That would have been 2020. Well, that would have been
2022.
Yeah,
2022. Yeah, you saw like you saw in almost any right-leaning ad, it was all like endorsed by Trump. Like was a state was like one of the three main points. You know, it'd be like for example,
it was literally a celebrity endorsement, but for politicians. There's nobody on the left has that type of name. You know, you've got Joe Biden who has a name at this point, and I won't say he doesn't, but the issue is he doesn't have the universal left love that Trump on the right. Not everyone on the right loves Trump. I have my criticisms, but
I think you're one of the biggest critics that I know that's right-leaning of Trump.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's fair to be to me, he doesn't endorse like what I would consider to be conservative values, but it's the same issue I have with like Andrew Tate. It's the like
another future episode.
Another future episode, but he's also a big right-leaning leader. That would be another big Republican leader, even though he's not in the party per se. He's not in the country, but he has a big sway among young Republicans or young people who would consider themselves.
What people think.
But when you really look at like what their values are in terms of how they view women and sex work and things, they tend to lean more left in terms of how they view sex work. But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah. But moving on from Trump being the leader, the lack of leadership is that what I was getting to at my earlier point before we drifted off is that every like a Senate member or House of Representative member in all their campaign ads, will mention, endorsed by Trump to only get votes. It doesn't matter. It's the only reason.
Yeah, well, it's just like it's an instant name you can say that's just like, hey, here's this guy you know and love. He said I'm good, so I'm good.
Well, for the hate as much as we're spitting on it, it's like the solid strategy because.
I mean, yeah, it's the fact that like it's like having a Taylor Swift endorsement. Taylor Swift way.
Let's calm down on this real quick because I think we're getting a bit too much into the Trump cult thing because it overlaps a lot. But the thing is, the lack of leadership part comes into is, let's say he wins the 2024 presidency, and then 2028 comes around and he's out. Who's going to take over? That's the real question.
There is nobody. There's no one to come in after Trump.
I think after Trump, who did you say? Who was it?
There's DeSantis.
I think he has a shot, but I think it's definitely going to be a easy Democrat win, unless some like.
We need somebody to come up during the era of Trump who's going to change the party.
Maybe Trump announced his VP yet?
Not that I've heard, but I haven't.
I think whoever has the best shot will probably be whoever Trump chooses for his VP. Yeah, I don't know, but that's just prediction.
It's an easy win. Same with there's a lot of people who have like an easy VP, or not easy. They have an easy win coming out of Trump. The people I would say right now who have somewhat of an easier chance of winning would be on the Republican side, anyways, it would be between like DeSantis could come up and if he stakes a name for himself during the Trump presidency and proves he's actually got the leadership for it, then yeah, he could probably win. Same with Vivek Ramaswamy. He has made a name for himself in just under a year. I had never heard of him. Now he's actually made a name for himself pretty decently. I mean, he's not like, obviously not everyone knows who he is yet, but the fact that
I don't know who he is. This is the first time I've heard of him.
Okay, but and that's fair. Because you probably didn't keep up with the debates because the debates didn't matter this year. Trump already had it in the bag. There was no point in the debates because Trump was already pulling in 40% of the vote alone before the debates, with the rest of it being split up. Like I think maybe DeSantis. I don't have the stats in front of me, so forgive me, but I want to say he was pulling in like a solid 8 or 10% of the vote, maybe 20.
So but, we're talking about DeSantis, right?
Yeah, DeSantis.
Yeah, he's definitely
was the only one that was actually pulling in votes.
He's definitely pulling in a decent amount. Like, I don't think that's a debate.
He was pulling in a little bit, but like compared to Trump was just destroying him and everything. And they were trying to fight Trump kind of during the debates. You could see there was a attempt, like you had Chris Christie trying to say like Donald Duck because he was ducking the debates, which he didn't need to ever go to the debates. It was just it was like an instant win for him, no matter if he went to the debates or not. But they tried, and they realized that
the kind of cult thing because like
they realized it didn't work because it does lead into the cult thing. But they realized that would never work on him because he already has a rabid fan base, which we go more into in the cult episode later. But
yeah, I think we need
right now.
What I'm saying is, I think we need to move on to the other parts. We did bullet points for this episode.
Yeah, we tried to.
But I think we need to go on from the Trump stuff. We're getting a bit too caught up, I think, because it's always going back.
The issue is, like, the main issue with Trump, the closing point on Trump, the main issue with that is, like, you can't separate him from leadership because he has influenced the leadership so much in the past few years that anyone is afraid to buck against him because he can destroy any chance of winning. Because it doesn't matter if the person is making better points. It doesn't matter if the person has better positions on things. I tend to prefer Vivek Ramaswamy's positions over Trump. But Vivek Ramaswamy was never going to win because he was running against Trump. When he's not running against him and can get the Trump endorsement, he actually has a shot, I think. I think he's got a serious shot at winning. But right now, he's got no chance because whoever is trying to come up to be right leadership will never make it because you have to go against Trump. Trump wants to be the end-all, be-all voice of the right. But at the end of the day, he's not. Well, he is right now. That's the thing. He just won't be right now. But he won't be after his presidency. That's it. He just won't be the next voice because he's out at that point. He can go be governor, whatever, senator, but that's it. And now, like right now, who we have as Republicans, getting back to the actual leadership in the party besides Trump, I mean, you've got DeSantis, Vivek, but they don't have nearly as much sway because nobody one issue is one big issue with the right as it stands is nobody has strong positions that aren't as much just being in opposition to the left.
Yeah,
that's the issue.
Now that's where we get to the meat of the episode. Is that's why we have such poor leadership. It's just that I'm not left. Like the main instruction is when you see on a campaign ad, it's I'm not leftist. Trump supports me. That's why you should vote for me. That's literally the campaign ads that we saw all through 2022. Like I remember that, and like it's just like you're a bot, man. You're just it's like your voter base, but like we've seen with RFK that it doesn't have to be that way. Like he's a solid choice, and if he was running Republican, I think he would have been the biggest threat to Trump. He wouldn't win, of course. But
he would never win, sadly.
No. He would have took away enough votes where Biden would have won easily. But I'm saying but that shows that like you don't have to be a a Trump follower is basically poor leadership. I know it's getting back to Trump stuff, but it's how it works.
I mean, you really can't separate him from the leadership. That's kind of the issue. Is like,
that's why we have
ingrained
leadership.
in it.
Because if Trump just decides to up and leave politics once he's done, I doubt he will. But let's just say he does. There's no leadership.
There's nobody to come in. Like, okay, coming off of look at like JFK. Who came in after JFK that was like anywhere near as influential as him? We've been recovering from that ever since because he had such a massive influence and was going to be such a game changer and was cut off untimely.
Mm-hmm.
So who's going to who came in after him? The person after him is not notable.
Lyndon B. Johnson.
Lyndon B. Johnson did things, and I'm not going to say he didn't. I can't. You're gonna have to remind me what Lyndon B. Johnson did. I know him.
He did a bunch of acts that just helped the people. If I'm remembering from my government class last year, my history class from last year, not government. He did He even did some environmental stuff and to help with the poor population. But no one. I mean, he has some lasting effects, but no one really talks about him much. You know.
That was the issue. He wasn't like a lasting impact.
No, I think he was, but he just for his time, he definitely like moved things forward. But
he was a long-term leader.
Back to what was I saying? Yeah, poor leadership. We go off.
There's so many different ways to look at it.
Yeah, it's just once Trump's out, there's no leadership. And
there's nobody can come in after Trump.
But there's one thing, because of the poor leadership on the Republican side, that I think might be a good idea. Because of the poor leadership, that might leave room for a new party to come.
I honestly think we're coming to either a civil war or a third party. Hopefully, one or the other. But
more time for that.
I do definitely think we're going to get a third party at least.
Because I think, if I remember correctly, RFK is trying to start his own party.
He's running on the independent. He's kind of
I think he's trying to start his own. I think in the next election cycle.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, we'll see if that ever comes to fruition. I mean, you have parties that have a name right now. You have the
Green Party, the
Green Party, Tea Parties.
I think this is only a New York party, but it's Stop Raising the Damn Rent Party. That's its actual name.
Yeah, there's
make a base party, but I don't know how that one's been going anymore. I just remember that as a fun fact.
We love landlords. I'm sorry,
but yeah, I feel like with the lack of leadership in the Republican Party, it's going to be the first party to see a drop in members because of a third party, because of the lack of leadership.
Well, think about it. If you get a third party who's more classical,
lines up with your idea more.
Yeah, who's more classically conservative views rather than the more new age reactionary view. Which I hate using that word reactionary because I don't think it's a.
I mean, it's kind of true though.
Well, I'm using it in the true term that it is a reaction to whatever the left is doing. It's a reaction.
I mean, the left reacts to the right, and the right reacts to the left. It's just how it is now. It's
just a cycle of we're going to go farther than you. Okay, well, we're going to go farther than you. Well, now we're going to go farther than you. And it's just this cycle of who can push it the farthest before they lose their voter base. Because I don't agree with some of the right people in general. A lot of the independent voters I don't agree, or not independent. A lot of the individuals who I talk to, I don't agree with on a lot of things. The overall views of the Republican Party, they're non-existent. Nobody can agree on where the left will say okay, you have the popular left, which at least has some somewhat clear positions on we want a big push towards social rights. We want a big push for the minorities to become not going to get into.
Well, they're more united. Like they have a more like they know what they're talking about. Like most leftists, will agree on. Well, hold on, let me find the words. Will have a common goal. That's what it is. They know their goals that they're aiming for.
Yeah, and whatever that goal is that day,
I think
they at least know. The right doesn't have a goal.
Know a little. It's just the leadership and the individuals mix so much and don't mix. They differ so much that it's they don't know their goals. That's what I'm getting at. They don't know what their goals are.
Nobody knows. Like it's just an issue of like what are the right's goals? Like off the top of your head, what are generally agreed upon right goals?
I think border security and the economy is about it.
Yes, border security is about it, and even the economy.
The border security one comes from mostly Trump. At least that's. But that became.
But now that's the popular.
I know, but that was like, that was. I'm pretty sure that's always been a thing because it's the border. But like, I think it was became really big when Trump was in office.
Yeah, it did. It became a lot bigger once Trump got in office. But
the economy stuff is also Democrat stuff too. Like
the issue is the right can't agree on the economy. They can somewhat agree on the border, but the right can't agree on economy because economy comes with government control. Personally, I used to associate the right with limited government, but it's not anymore because people want Trump back in back in leadership, where Trump is a person who wants more power. If you agree with what his goals are or whatever, that's fine, whatever. If you disagree or don't agree, I don't like anyone having more power personally. I'd rather it be that no one has more power and we just give it back more and more to local governments. But some people in the right want more power like that. They want to be the Trump or the people who can go in there and say, I'm going to ban, these people from being able to be around children, which is fine, whatever. But they don't want limited government. And that's a big issue of like, well, is the right for limited government or no?
Yeah, because you have I think the right, instead, because the Republicans were, back when, in the 2000s when we were born, was about, limited government, but now it's more like, they aren't too big on limited government. That's more of a what's the word? Libertarian thing.
Yeah, it's more of a libertarian constitutionalist viewpoint. But the thing is, libertarianism will never catch on. That's why I have to kind of choose to associate with the right. When personally, I kind of fall more in line with the libertarian view of government, which is very, very limited.
On the right do, but they just don't realize.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue as well. Well, it's like. You kind of can't because one, they're made the butt of the joke when it's like, okay, no, a lot of right-leaning figures. I look towards, which you can also get into this later for poor leadership in terms of media roles. But I look to people like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro who mock.
Now you're the butt of the joke.
Yeah, they say oh well, those silly libertarians don't realize that we can't live in a limited government. We need the people who are going to be pushing our values, which is fine if you want people who are pushing your values, but we don't live in a one-party society, which if you want to live in a one-party society, that's totally different, and that's a whole different argument. But we live in a two-party society. I'd rather the two parties be able to take their issues to the small government issues where California can be a more left-leaning state and Tennessee can be a more right-leaning state, and it not be dictated by the higher government. I do believe there should be universal values that should be held by every American.
Which is what the Constitution was kind of meant to be, freedom of speech and all that.
Yeah, it should be. That's the issue. It should be universal rights, but kind of the issue of a lot of people don't agree with constitutional rights anymore. They don't want freedom of speech. Because a lot of people don't realize freedom of speech is absolute no matter what. You have to allow freedom of speech for everyone, otherwise it means
nothing. Yeah, but that's when private companies come in, they're the ones who get to, be more restrictive because the Constitution allows that.
Yeah, and a private company is a whole different issue. Which
I find that's the balance there, That's kind of the balance.
Yeah, well, it's like freedom of association at that point.
Yeah, but like, we're getting a bit off topic with that one. I've said that so many times; it sounds repetitive for me.
I know. Well, it's like it goes back to leadership though, because it's a lack of agreement on what leadership wants. They don't know what their actual values are. They just know they don't want what Joe Biden wants. That's all they know is like we don't want.
Don't agree with Joe and Trump likes me. That's basically what it is right now.
It's repeat Trump, don't agree with Joe.
Which
that's it.
Which what I hate is that that's how the Republicans are going to be dictated for the next three next presidential elections.
That's the reason I say we're building towards a third party or a complete civil war because
not civil war. Not just that. There's more reasons for it.
Not entirely that, but that's the thing. There's more reasons it's going to happen, not just that issue. There's a bunch of reasons we're going to go to civil war. Mainly being that people, epic movie. Now the reason we're going to go to civil war is because people can't agree. They can't find a small in between. They can't find.
No one compromises, and that's kind of what the leadership of the Republicans says is no compromise.
Yeah, they don't compromise further and further. So it's like when a compromise is proposed, it's like, well, now we go further. And then when they do get what they want, they lose that at that point. They don't get to have their... Okay, I saw this with McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy, when he got ousted. This was a big issue because he brought what they originally asked for, but they had moved further at that point. So when he was able to bring what they originally asked for and agree on that, it was disagreed with and he got kicked out. But it was like, well, okay, this is what you originally wanted. People voted against this originally, so I had to compromise now and get this smaller deal, but I was able to still get you a deal. And that did not sit well with me. I was like, what is happening? We have such a massive hate campaign against one another in the United States. We do not need to be attacking our own, which I don't. Okay, I say attacking our own. I don't believe that we should be just letting people get away with stuff either. I think you have to call out people when they're wrong and say this was bad. But when it's an issue like that was not an issue where he needed to be ousted at all. That was a joke of a vote led by good old Marjorie Taylor Greene.
She'll be mentioned more in the Trump cult.
Yeah, we'll save her for the Trump cult episode because she's the heir to it.
But we can talk about her in this episode. She relates to this episode.
She is leadership for the
district.
I don't know what group. I believe District 14, 13?
14. I believe it's 14 of Georgia.
Yeah, District 14 of Georgia. She's leadership. But she's transcended her area. She's transcended anything in her area. She's a...
It's not... you might see a political meme about her, and that's... that means she's transcended her area.
Mm-hmm. So it's like... You don't hear about, the freaking... You don't hear about North Carolina's local county representatives.
Or you don't hear about... You can't say...
That's what I meant. District. You don't hear about North Carolina's district representatives because they don't make a fuss. They represent their district decently well.
Yeah, Marjorie I don't know is the example of poor leadership in the fact that she just regurgitate what Trump says.
It's the regurgitation and saying, I'm going to go against Joe Biden. I'm going to say, let's get him kicked out. I'm going to say, I think he's committed crimes, probably. In Roblox, but I
disagree with Joe Biden's his, especially him pulling out of Afghanistan. I think he did a horrible job of that. But
he should probably be held accountable. He should be held accountable for those deaths. But the issue is the past 40 years of presidents should be as well. So it's kind of an issue of
it's not he's not
them.
Yeah,
for these, but
it's I lost the words. Moving on.
Okay, yeah, Marjorie. Right, that's what we were talking about. Marjorie, she just goes against whatever Joe Biden's saying. It's just I don't like what Joe Biden's saying, so here's what I'm going to say.
It's what we've been saying for like what? How long have we been recording? 20 or so minutes. I don't like Joe Biden. I don't like Joe Biden. Look at how many Trump pins I'm wearing. Vote for me. That's all.
Let me show up to the freaking State of the Union in the most gaudy clothing.
We gotta save that for. We have some.
We can just do a State of the Union live reaction.
For those who made it this far into the video, which is like the hi mom, but
hi mother.
But for those who made it this far, the Trump quote episode is probably going to be our magnum opus, or I don't know. This is going to be the episode we're going to talk about the most because we've talked about it before, just on our own. Like
there's plenty of things to be said about Trump. There's plenty of
not cool, dude. All right, but anyways, I think we covered really all the points because we've just kind of been repeating ourselves with the poor leadership.
Yeah, well, that's just the issue of like there's just poor leadership. You know, we didn't even get into, like I said, the media personalities who provide leadership.
I think the thing is, do we need to save that for a part 2, or?
You want to see us talk about
this is still mostly unscripted, but like.
You want to see us talk about mega media leadership on the right. Hit the like and subscribe. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, that will be all. So yeah, tell us what you thought below if we're based or red pilled or skibbity liberals. I don't know.
Skibbity liberals.
Yeah. Anyways, like, share, give us the 5-star review on YouTube.com. Hope you all enjoyed. Stock, do you have anything to say?
Hit us with 5 stars.
I already said that, buddy.
Yeah, hit us with the, take us back to the take us back to the days of like when the random women would respond to YouTube videos. Take us back to that day. Hit us with a random response, please.
He doesn't get too many females.
I hope that we get on the H3H3 podcast soon.
Okay. Is long outros our expertise now?
I think so. I think that's it.
You just trying to get to the 30-minute mark.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you after a while. Upload again soon. Something.
Bye-bye. Don't forget to log your neighbor or something.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Please subscribe to Two Buds Talking. These people are so scary. They make epic content here and across other channels.